Howdy y'all, and welcome to the Stay Creative Podcast, a show dedicated to celebrating independent artists and sharing their art and story. I have found that when we listen to a person talk about their passion, we can take some of it for our own. So this show is also dedicated to you, the listener, not only becoming a fan of the guest's work, but also taking another step towards growing as an artist and loving the artist you already are. The world is a better place with you and your creations in it, and I am grateful for this time that I get to share my current favorite artists with my future favorite artists. Today I'm talking with three of my talented friends about songwriting. Like any form of art, it is subjective and something you're never completely done mastering. But I am excited to share from their experience and passion things they have learned. Be sure to check out the show notes for information and links to the folks who are sharing their time with me this week. First off, thank you all for being here and, of course, agreeing to be on the show and share your insights and your encouragements and just your own journey with the audience. I'm glad you're here, and I would like for each of you to take a moment to introduce yourself, and we'll start with Season 2 Stay Creative alumnus, Porkboii. Now that I've told everybody your name, why don't you tell us your name and what kind of music you make?
What's up? I'm Porkboii. I make indie music / bedroom pop, I guess, like indie pop, I guess.
Dewi, why don't you tell us some about yourself and what you make?
Hey guys, I'm John. Most of you know me as Dewi. I can be found. Dewi Does Music or Discord or Dumb Stuff, wherever, somewhere. You'll see one of those things. And I make folk-inspired music and acoustic singer-songwriter stuff, as well as some rap here and there. And that's what I do.
And next, Ayavavron, please tell us some about yourself and your art style.
I'm Ayavavron, and I represent two projects, Okay, I Don't Know, and Girls with Depression. Girls with Depression is a very synth pop inspired, very self-indulgent excuse to croon over beats. And Okay, I Don't Know is what happens when I make a beat that's too busy for me to sing over it. And I feel like, actually, this should still exist, but instrumentally.
It's cool that you have the two kind of vessels for your ideas. I would like to maybe just kind of backtrack and just tell me some about your favorite songwriter, like the people who make the music that really speak to you.
All right. So I thought really hard about this question in advance. And the two songwriters I feel like are most important to my own songwriting are John Darnielle of the Mountain Goats and Max Martin, the international hit maker who wrote all the really good Britney Spears songs and a lot of the really good Katy Perry songs, and also some of the good Backstreet Boys songs, and more recently some Taylor Swift songs.
That's excellent. What about you, Dewey?
For me, it's the stuff that I listen to most is probably Townes Van Zandt, Steve Earle. Steve Earle's my favorite living songwriter, followed closely by Jason Isbell, folk and older country music singer-songwriters.
Kind of outlaw-y stuff a little bit.
I do love the outlaw stuff.
Yeah. What about you, Porkboii?
My most inspirational songwriters that I look up to would be, there's this singer-songwriter from Mexico, Julieta Venegas. Her writing's so honest and raw. Also, Marina, that is formerly known as Marina and the Diamonds. I think she writes most of her music or like her songs. And Greta from Frankie Cosmos. They're my fave.
It's funny, I have a factoid in common and a factoid out of sync with each of you. So that's it's interesting. It gives me homework to do because all three of you make music that I really enjoy listening to. Knowing what you make and who has kind of inspired you up to this point, I want to give each of you an opportunity to answer what is the point of songwriting or what makes a song good?
I think the point of songwriting is being able to put into whatever communicative medium that you are using some sort of statement. Doesn't have to necessarily be a statement, but like an expression of feeling or thought or emotion. And to me, it's like reading anything or interpreting anything. The point is to put it out there, and then once it's out there, it's out in the world if it is out there, and whoever reads it or listens to it can interpret it in their own way. So I think it's like a way of communicating.
Kind of hope for the hopeful and sadness for the sad a little bit. People are going to find, they'll find themselves in whatever you make. What about you, Dewi?
This is a really interesting question. And I agree a lot with what Porkboii said. It's primarily to express something. I guess I do songwriting because nobody wanted to listen to my sad poems. So I'll play guitar behind them. And suddenly it's music. Really, it's just for me to get out what I'm feeling or a thought that I had. Thankfully, the indie music feedback community, I've been able to stretch out and do more creative, inventive stuff that's not just me drinking in my kitchen and playing guitar at 3 a.m.
Yeah, for sure. I think your debut album needs to be called Suddenly It's Music.
I think the point of songs is they get stuck in your head. That's why you write them, is so you don't just have a message, but you have a memorable message that's enjoyable to live with that thought. So like if you go back to like old songs that like are handed down through time, they're often like recountings of events or ideas that were just memorable or needed to be held that way. Held in memory, oral traditions. But also I've noticed like when I get into a musical as opposed to like getting into a movie or something like that, the individual songs of the musical would get stuck in your head, and then like, so you're into Hamilton or something, and you'd have like days where you're just thinking about this argument of between Aaron Burr and Hamilton, and that's just something that's happening in your head the whole time, and that's a completely different kind of storytelling experience than you'd get with a novel.
I completely agree with that. Because I've had that exact same experience. For me, it was Les Mis. I'll walk around my house singing Black and Red at maximum volume for days. And empty chairs at empty tables. Obviously, the sad songs. It's Les Mis. It's all sad. But musicals really hammer home the storytelling part of songs.
Are we all story people?
We might be. Well, I don't know. You know, honestly, it's funny that the person who brought up it's supposed to be catchy is also the one who said it needs to be a story.
Well, I feel like the story is often there, but the catchy isn't. And that's when the song dies and you forget about it.
That's true.
Yeah, the best 40 verses ever are going to disappear with time if you don't have a hook. You don't have a chorus or a melody, at least.
Exactly.
You know, when you have a song stuck in your head because it's a catchy moment in the music, you are reliving that part of the story. So when it is something historical or something emotional or something powerful in a way, it's almost like you're living in that moment.
I feel like, yeah, that's completely true. And for like a non-musical theater example, like when you listen to a lot of 100 gecs or something that expresses something like about your lifestyle that feels accurate or true, then like, oh man, you're suddenly living in that world instead of the previous world.
The reason angsty teenagers listen to angsty music is because it makes them feel more attached to their reality, you know?
Like someone else feels what they feel.
But not just that, because sometimes I see like someone expressing something I feel and I go, ooh, I regret feeling and thinking that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it looks like. No, I need to change.
I need to become a better person so I don't look like that.
Right, but like My Chemical Romance, they make that kind of angstiness real cool, real hot, and you're like, oh yeah, this is good. I can lean into this. I'm gonna be like that.
I want to tell the girls in my high school how much I cry. They'll think I'm cool.
So much. I cry so much. I don't tell high school girls about it anymore, but I still cry a lot.
That's a terrible decision, especially when you're a teacher, telling the girls in your high school how much you cry. I'm going to cut that part out because that's creepy as hell.
That's really creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, no one here is like even close to high school age.
Oh yeah. But when My Chemical Romance was part of my vernacular, I was.
Right.
That's the point I was trying to make. How do you go about maybe drawing from these songs that have stuck with you or impacted you and using those as part of how you songwrite?
I feel like my songwriting is really simple. I play some chords that I know, usually the key of C, and then I talk or sing over them. There's a songwriter, Todd Snyder. He has a quote from a concert he did once, and he said, I'm here to share some of my opinions and my thoughts and my feelings with you, but I want you to know that I don't think that my feelings and thoughts and opinions are better than yours. I'm only up here sharing them because they rhyme. And that's a lot of what I do is I'm like, okay,
That's
well,
such a good line.
how do I rhyme this next word or this next line with what I have before?
Yeah. When you acknowledge that you're just sharing your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, but luckily they rhyme, you are stepping away from here are prose, which is just a newspaper article, and you are stepping closer to it has to be catchy, it has to be memorable, it has to be musical, and it's kind of a spectrum or a scale, from newspaper to hit song. Our practice is moving us further from newspaper into hit song every time we capture that. Yeah.
And to respond back to what you said, writing every line being meaningful, you only need one hook per song. You only need like one killer line, and then the rest of them should be good, but they don't have to be the best line in the song, every line.
It just reminds me of a thing I heard about movies. The key to a really good movie is you need 5 or 6 great scenes and no bad ones.
That's good.
Well, yes and no. I do think if you have one really great line, but the rest of your song is pretty trash, then you have a trash song in your hand. The way I build up songs is I always start with one line that I'm like, oh, that's so good. Like if I put that in a song, that'd be so good. And then put in a ton of like thought and work into like, okay, I need to like make a song around this line and kind of like work in a way that I'm like, okay, like it's got to be strong enough to carry this line. And if it's not, I just have to drop it and I put the line back on the shelf until I can figure it out. But it's built around the idea of like that strong line.
Yeah, which if you are using your music as a tool to communicate a message, then sometimes the line is going to be a powerful way to do so. Howdy again, y'all. I hope you are enjoying the conversation so far. I wanted, of course, again, to direct your attention to the show notes. Be sure to check out the artists and the songs that they are sharing. That opening song was Porkboii. The one that will play here in just a moment is our good friend Dewi. And at the very end, you'll hear one by Ayavavron. I'd also like to direct your attention to 2 other links in the link tree. One is to the Staying Creative playlist on Spotify, where I feature new songs by all of the past guests of this show. The other new thing is a link to the Celluloid Dumpster Fire podcast. 2 friends of mine have started a podcast where they kind of break down and review monster movies. It is funny, informative, and somehow enjoyable if you do or do not like those movies. So please check out their first episode January 2nd. Have you had a specific moment that has changed your artistic practice?
Yeah, it hasn't changed like the core of it. I feel like I still, since I started writing music, I've always sat down with a like message, and then I think of the best way to really do it, and I sit down with the guitar and I do that. But when I first started working in a DAW by myself just to record demos, I remember seeing one of my friends write their song as they went on the DAW. Like, so they would play and then they would kind of like write as they were recording. And I thought that was insane. I was like, what? You're supposed to write the song first and then you record it. And so sometimes I'll sit down if I'm kind of like feeling a little bit art blocked or I just need to like shake up my brain a little bit. I'll sit down and I'll record and write as I go in the DAW. And it's just so refreshing. I feel like it's such a great way to shake out ideas of your head or like come up with little melodies that you would otherwise not come up with. So it kind of has given me another way to write and another avenue to let out some emotions and some messages.
That's interesting. What are your thoughts on that? Have you ever created that way?
Oh yeah, lots of times.
Yeah, just like letting stuff come out. That's mostly how I do it.
It happens a lot more naturally to have lines that make you want the next one if you're writing them at the same time and being like, okay, what comes after that justifies what I just said?
Yeah. Kind of a kaleidoscope or unfolding, like an unfolding origami type message, or something crazy like that.
I woke up in the middle of the sentence. I don't know how I got here, but I know I have to get out somehow.
Yeah. I was trying to challenge myself to write more cryptically. My songs were just journal entries. They should have stayed that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started calling it Unspoken Werewolf. Basically, you want to write a story about a werewolf without saying werewolf ever, Yeah. Draw this atmosphere and this scene and these happenings that have all occurred around a werewolf. They absolutely confirm there is a werewolf, but you don't have to say it. And you can do the same with any kind of feelings.
A little old lady got mutilated late last night.
Oh no.
The cliche way to say what you just said is show, don't tell.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. Am I just saying I love you, or am I describing my love for this person?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever made a song the way Porkboii is talking, where you just start in the DAW and you add the next thing. Has that led to a lot of successful tracks?
Oh, no, not at all. I just kind of do that as an exercise to kind of get myself back in the songwriting vibe. What happens with that is that I'll come out with pieces of songs that then I go and then develop the way that I like to develop songs, which is just me sitting in my room with my guitar and building it out like that.
Something similar to that, where if you journal long enough, you're going to find a line.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is that how you do it? Do you do it one part at a time, or do you have all your lyrics done and you sit down to put music to it?
Usually I do the music part separate. It's like I make a beat. Usually I wait till I have a couple of beats before I start working on any lyrics. And I'm working, like I've got multiple open in the different DAW tabs so that I can listen to them and think about if I have anything and try to sing the melody lines or sing parts of the chorus or try to find the different parts of the music, find the part that is the most like a vocal line. And then I just do a sort of top line work on top of my own beats. But a lot of my older stuff was more chaotic and I would write the lines as I was going. My first album that I had any response to at all was called My Crappy Jesus. And that was all written straightforward in order, sort of like Porkboii was describing, where I'd write part of it, sing part of it, and then be like, okay, next part. And sometimes the answer to the next part is copy paste 2 parts ago.
Yeah.
I sang it to a click. It's going to be right. I'm just going to put it up there,
One of the things I found was really cool about that is I could cut myself off really easily. I could have a verse that just gets straight up interrupted by the paste.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the technique that was one of the things that people said was good about my early stuff that was chaotic and otherwise terrible.
How long would you say you were creating before you started making things that you felt good about? Creating with more of a lasting accuracy?
Still not.
Yeah.
I think I still intro my songs at LCR and say a future IMF classic that everyone forgets about.
Oh.
All the time. everyone I want to be the best and the most exciting, and I want to bring that enthusiasm and hope someone feels it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an important thing. It sounds like you're loving your music, even if you don't think it's some timeless hit.
Not to sound full of myself, but I've always every time I've written anything, I go, "Oh, this is great. I gotta share this with the world." And it's mostly because I find that music is my best way that I express myself. I have incredibly terrible interpersonal skills. I think writing music really gets me the time to really sit down and think about what I'm saying and really be like, find some self-awareness. And then once I'm done, I'm like, perfect. I can now put this out. And like, I've put in enough time into this that I'm okay with what I've said and the way that I've said it. And yeah, sometimes I put this out like 3 years ago and I'm not crazy about it now. But at the time, that's what I wanted to say. That's how I felt. And it is reflective of how I felt. And I think oftentimes, like looking back on old songs, even if I don't feel that same way and I don't think that those feelings are reflective of who I am today anymore, I still think I can still listen to them and go, oh, I remember feeling that way, and that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is your current roadblock to releasing more music?
Honestly, it's the things that I'm creating. I feel like I have in one song or another, in all 26 of the songs that you can find on the various internet sites, said the same thing over and over again. Basically, there's a couple variations here and there, but for the most part, if you want a very specific flavor of sad boy, I've got it for you. It's in there somewhere. Just go and find it. But I'm tired of doing sad songs. I even wrote a song about being tired of doing sad songs, and it was still a sad love song.
Oh, no. The only metaphor I can come up with, unfortunately, is that one where you start a new game of Skyrim and you're going to be a sword guy, but then you end up
you're
as
still a sneaky archer every time.
You're still a ninja every time, yeah.
To go back to the question that we had just before this, I think the very first song I ever wrote, I still think it's a great song. The lyrics are still really good. It was the next 10 songs that I wrote after that were absolute trash.
Yeah, it's always about chasing the high of that one good song, I think.
I was going to make the same. Yeah, I feel like that's the same metaphor I was going to use.
I don't share this.
I think stand-up comedians talk about the same thing. They're like, oh, I got into stand-up because I just wanted to do it one night and I did an open mic and I killed. And then for the next 5 years, I just bombed every night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, you said you did not agree with that.
Simply put, my earliest attempts at songs were pretty bad, and I realized they were bad pretty fast.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
Not to the point where I gave up, because I felt like, oh, I'm still a genius, and I'm going to do original things that are brilliant and no one's heard before. The first song to export out of my DAW, which was a song about kissing someone and tasting blood in your mouth, was not a classic. I don't really like that one. I'm not chasing the high of that one.
Yeah. It's a weird mood.
It is. It's good. I mean, we've all been there,
I was 19.
Does that have lyrics? Could I see them at some point?
Can you tell us some of them right now?
I can recite them.
Ooh,
I taste the blood on your lips when we kiss. Sanguine, savory liquid on our tongues in your bed. Oh, what pleasure and delight between our heads.
I want to cover that song.
Just make it a vampire love song, and then
that was basically what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to hear Porkboii cover that song. So
you have to sing it with fake fangs in your mouth, though.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to buy fake fangs for this.
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, so maybe it was good, and I was wrong.
Yes. It's a gold nugget song.
I mean, honestly, even if it was just a Daniel Johnston style acapella right there, like just what you... Yes. I might try to... honestly, I might just steal it and try to release it.
Do it.
From the audio I just claimed for this podcast.
Oh, man. That would be some major petty power moves. I'd be real excited for you.
Yeah, I want to be attacked in that way artistically. That'd be great. What do you think is your current or next roadblock that you're trying to overcome, Ayavavron?
I feel like perfectionism is something I've always been struggling with. You really want it to be good, and sometimes you can completely break through that perfectionism and be like, yeah, I'm a genius, I'm the champion of my own songs, and everything I do is original, etc.
Yeah.
Or you can be trapped between the extremes of it. You're either paralyzed by like nothing being good enough, or your floodgates are open and you're having a really hard time actually telling what is and isn't good.
It's kind of like when you get the high you're chasing from that first good song, and you're like, oh man, everything I do is golden now. You have to come down slowly off of that mountain.
Oh, it still happens a lot. Like I'll do 4 or 5 good songs in a row and be like, wow, I'm so good now. I'm really on my game. And it's paralyzing.
Yeah.
I play ukulele when that happened. What I do is I just sing like happy little ditties about the stupidest shit that I can think of.
Do you have one? Can you recite one of those for us?
No, because I never write them down, and I never, but it'll be, I think the last time I really did this, I was in Japan, and I just pulled the uke out. I was singing about how the coffee maker in the hotel room wasn't good enough. And that
sounds awesome.
That was it.
Yeah. Man, it's like a travel journal of ukulele songs.
But also, I think that taps into one of my favorite tropes, which is how do you tell a good story about living like a life of luxury or doing something cool? You tell a story about the things you'd complain about when you're living that life.
Yeah.
Getting to travel, you're getting to go to hotels. You know what sucks? This coffee maker.
Incredible.
There's a
That's
coffee
good.
maker in the room, but it's a little crappy.
Yeah, always art is looking at something from just a more interesting angle. I would ask Porkboii what the current roadblock is for you, but I just don't think there are any, Porkboii. Is that the case?
Oh, you're so wrong.
Very bold of you to assume.
Yeah. I mean, after Let Me getting on Fresh Finds, I found myself in that weird, like, how do I move forward from this? The song was obviously good enough to get on this algorithm playlist on like the Fresh Finds or whatever. So yeah, I've been stressing. I'm less stressed out now, but for like a couple of weeks, I've just been stressing like, oh, my production is so bad. Like, I don't even know if any of my other songs are going to measure up. And also, I've been very depressed, unfortunately. So my brain gets in the way of me being able to sit down and record because it's really hard to hear myself back and then going, oh yeah, I can put that out. I know the solution is to just go, all right, I think it sounds like shit right now. I'm just going to sit on it for a while. I'm going to listen to it tomorrow and hopefully it'll sound fine. And usually that's the case. Like, I am doing just good enough work and I just have to embrace it. But yeah, I am my own roadblock right now.
Yeah. Admitting there's a problem is the first step. And while that is not used in this content, I think identifying the problem is indeed a very early step to giving yourself some grace for it.
Yeah.
I have depression too. And one of the things I wanted to say is that there's a difference between being depressed and being sad. Being sad is fine. You can be sad.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you can write so many songs when you're sad. When you're depressed, you're like, I can't think of anything to say. I don't want to say anything. I just want to lay on the couch and watch 6 straight seasons of Vikings in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think that Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec quote, oh yeah, just none of my hobbies interest me. Like, that is more depressing.
Oh, yeah. I got to stop being depressed because I'm going to lose these calluses.
Yeah. Just make that choice. Flip that switch, Dewey. It's fine.
Yeah, just stop being depressed, like a simple command line.
I live with other artists in my house that are also like songwriters and stuff. Me and my roommate, what we do is we give ourselves like a deadline. That is God's deadline, basically. And we go, okay, you get a month or you get a week to work on this song. Unfortunately, no matter what state it's in, by the end of that, you gotta have to put it out.
Yeah.
Or just set it down and revisit it at a later time and give yourself another shorter timeline. Yeah, because the perfectionism situation, if you're always a perfectionist, you just don't release anything.
I haven't quite had that problem. I just abandon all perfectionism and then regret it.
Oh, yeah.
I can turn it off completely or be paralyzed by it.
Oh, I struggle with that too.
Not that anything that I've done is perfect. They're all far from perfect. But I notice now that I've been working with more indie musicians, now I'm like, oh, I wrote this and I kind of like it, but it's just real low quality. So I'm just going to keep it over here or put it off to the side.
You mean like the recording quality?
Yeah. And I'm not used to working, though. Like I'm very much an amateur, like extremely amateur. I'll use a metronome and then I won't even follow it. I'll just play what I want over top of it.
The time is what I say it is. Oh. Well, I was actually going to comment on Dewey's. I feel like I keep writing the same thing. And sometimes, absolutely, you have said the same thing twice. But often, even the same thoughts and feelings can produce different angles on the same observations. And I think that one thing that I've added to my songwriting is every time I think a song is done, I ask what makes it different from the others. Usually that will either generate some sort of bridge that has a contrasting melody or a production decision. Every song feels like it's the exact same when it's your voice and your acoustic guitar. It's easy to get stuck in a loop where it feels like you are saying the same thing over and over again.
Do you ever use other songs as a starting point?
Yeah.
I've started
That's a good idea.
externalize the process. I try not to write song about me primarily as the primary narrator, and where I'm still the narrator, but the focus of the song isn't about me or my feelings. The one that I shared for this podcast is one of my favorite songs that I've written, Brick by Brick, and it's a song for somebody else who is not feeling well or not feeling great, and about being a friend for them, and doing kind of the writing process focuses on somebody else and somebody else's feelings.
Yeah.
And
You know what I like about that song? It's directed at the viewer, or not at the viewer, at the audience member. And you're basically just, as a narrator, saying nice things to the audience. And that's always effective.
That's so sweet.
It is. Yeah.
One thing I like to do, I actually did this for the song that I submitted for this. It's like I'll write a book or watch a movie or a TV show. If a character or a situation is really striking to me, I write a song about that. The one that I wrote for this, I've been rereading The Ice Maiden by Hans Christian Andersen. It's a little fairy tale. In the beginning, it starts with this little boy, Rudy, and he learns how to climb mountains from different animals. And I just really like that. So I wrote a song about it.
That's awesome, though.
It gets me out of my head.
About half my songs start as I want to copy one element of another song and then just get into my comfort zone with the rest.
And there's nothing at all wrong with that. There are 12 notes. There are about 30 keys, you can choose from. And we feel this terrifying urge to be completely unique, and it's impossible. We are always going to produce an amalgamation of the things we love. And as soon as we start leaning into that and loving that, enjoying that, we're going to make better music, better art,
I completely agree with that. And I would say that playing covers, like if you like a song or if you're stuck, just learn how to play a song that you like.
Yeah.
Or try to recreate the feeling of a song that you like if you don't play an instrument. I think I was heavily inspired by Jason Isbell and his voice and mood and the chords that he uses for Brick by Brick. I think if you listen to one of his songs and you listen to that song, you'd be like, oh, I hear that. And it was because I had just covered 2 or 3 of his songs, and I was like, I like these chords. I'm going to use them.
That's an excellent way to expand your artistic vocabulary. And while I wish we could basically just talk about this forever, I eventually do have to wrap this up, you guys. I want to, before I do that, though, give Ayavavron a chance to introduce the song that we'll be playing in the show. Dewi and Porkboii already kind of have. Ayavavron, could you tell us some about the song that folks will be hearing?
All right, so the song I gave to you to let people associate with me is called The Empire Survives. And it's one of the first songs I wrote after joining IMF and after seeing other people's politics were very in the air at the time. Lots of people were writing political complaint songs, and I was trying to write something that reflected what I thought was lacking in the other ones, and to some extent that was make it vaguer. And I tried to incorporate details from history and try to take it out of just any one moment and go somewhere bigger and wider with it. And then, that's why it's The Empire Survives.
I'm not what I'm supposed to be. I should be in libraries, but in boxes I reside. I'm not the greatest story told. We were boring then, but now we're old. But in boxes we survive. Resurrected history. Any story that you want to see. With these boxes you can lie. Stars above the marble throne, the brightest guns and a shining throne. The empire survives. The empire survives. I'm read too well and I changed their minds. I taught them all to lie. They enforce my thoughts with art and cops. It's beautiful, but it sucks. I taught them all to lie. Stars above the blasted mines, the barren lands and broken spines. The empire survives. The empire survives. Just gotta breathe. Breathe a lot. 10 million copies and a million trees. Bragging no obscenities. The empire survives. The empire survives. Please, 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 empire, die. Why won't you just please die? Please, 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 please die. Please, 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 oh why?
What are we doing? Shout outs? I'm so confused.
We're trying to, man. It's
Everyone's talking about their mom.
falling apart. It's falling apart.
My mom is never gonna hear this. Shout out to my roommates.
Yes.
I could definitely send my mom the link to this. I think she would like that.
Do you think your mom, and I don't know why I'm talking about your mom like I know her, but do you think your mom could make it through an hour and 10 minutes of what we just talked about?
You're gonna edit it down though, right? It's
I'm
not
gonna edit it. I'm gonna edit like 6 minutes out tops.
Okay.
I'm not.
She
good
might
at
like
editing.
zone out for part of
minutes.
it or something like that. You know, she is pretty good at listening to something while she's like doing something else.
Perfect,
so like,
perfect.
My mom will definitely listen to this podcast.
but that's how podcasts are.
That's true. You're supposed to do dishes while you listen to podcasts.
Mm.
Or you design custom boxes.
Yep, that's another.
That's what my mom does.
That's a viable option. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna hang up on this call now.
Okay.
Okay.
It was good
Goodbye,
talking to you
interview.
guys.
Goodbye, IMF.
Goodbye,
See you.
everybody.
Ciao.
Bye. I'm grateful my friends were able to share this time with me. I've learned from their ideas, of course, but also their openness with insecurities, vulnerabilities, and even the times they feel they failed. Artists, like most humans, have the ability to convince themselves they are alone in their struggles. And while there are many things we must do for ourselves, we can lean on and learn from the experiences of those who are close to us. It is by talking, creating, and sharing that we invite the opportunity for others to say, "Me too." So please, create, write, listen, and share. You never know when you'll write the line that makes someone feel a little more welcome on this planet. If you like what you heard today, you can find links for the artist and this show in the show notes. Be sure to go and listen, like, and follow the artist where you can so the algorithm gods are beneficial for them. And share this show, leave a review, like or comment, whatever you can do on the streaming service you use. It would mean a lot to me for the sake of the show, but it would also mean a lot for this show's ability to promote these artists well, to honor the time they are sharing with us, and to love independent music a little bit better. But of course, your time is the first and best gift you can give, so thank you very much for listening. I hope to share more of that time very soon, but until then, please stay courageous, stay curious, and stay creative.